Good morning. It's bright and early. Unfortunately, it's getting breezy again. And we're out here to try and spray these potatoes for weeds. It's 3 weeks after planting, and we've been trying to spray these potatoes for the last week, but the wind's been too strong, and it's actually picking up again this morning already. You can see these first few drills that we planted off Dunbar Standards that were chitted in the trays are starting to come up, whereas the ones over there, there's not much sign of potatoes, so we're okay. So the likes of these strips, we're going to have to reduce our spray rate to make sure we don't do the potatoes any harm. But you can see the potatoes coming up nicely, and you can see all the wee weeds growing there as well, so we need to get them knocked out before they become a problem. So we'll jump up in, get going before it gets any windier. It's just 6 o'clock in the morning, so we'll get started before the wind gets up, before the sun gets up. I've done the headland, and I was concentrating just on doing it to make sure we didn't catch any hedges and stuff. I'll switch that off. As you can see, I've left the boundary where I drive with the sprayer, and the reason behind that is that's where we will sow our wildflowers. So we don't want to put any of this herbicide on that will prevent the wildflowers from growing. The wildflowers are there then to feed the insects and the bees and the butterflies, ladybirds, keep them happy throughout the summer, and eat the aphids and stuff that we don't want on the potatoes. And it's an uncropped area, so we may as well try and get benefit out of it. This is where our uncultivated plot comes in. The left hand wheel's driving in there, and my right hand wheel's driving on that wee ridge there, but it's not an actual drill. And I'll show you afterwards when we get up to the end of the field how that affects where our wheel tram lines are. So I've just jumped off to show you how the tram lines operate. So these are our 2 drills of potatoes. Wheel drive in an uncropped area, wheel drive in an uncropped area, making sure we're not squishing these 2 drills or those 2 outside drills, where traditionally if we were driving the wheel of our sprayer down here, we would crush part of this drill, and then the same for the other side wheels. So you always had 4 compromised drills, whereas you can see here we're not compromised on either side. The wheel of the sprayer is sitting up on this ridge, so in wet conditions this is the wet bit and this is the wet bit, and this soil will be drier, and it makes travelling so much easier. We're then working on wider tyres, we're not making ruts, and we're not damaging the soil structure for our following crop of wheat. We've been doing it for the 3 or 4 years that we've had this new sprayer. To me it's a no-brainer. I wouldn't go back to not doing it. Even if we were to work with narrower wheels, row crops like we'll probably have them on next week to put the final run of chemicals on our wheat and spring oats. But we'll put the wide ones back on. But even so, the narrow wheels are still running in the same place, up on the slight ridge, not doing any harm to the drills. And I've come across to show you the previous run and how that worked. So tar treads running on the ridge, lower bit if it rains on either side where it will be wetter, neither drill damaged or touched as a result of the sprayer coming through. I've had a couple of farmers say, sure, you're wasting ground there, you could have another drill of potatoes in there. Well, Very simple. Those 4 drills that you pack in tight together always get compromised. They end up being lower yielding than the rest of the field. We have now spaced it out slightly. So yes, across the width of the field we would have half a dozen drills less potatoes. But we don't have damaged potatoes, we don't have green potatoes in those. And the 4 drills on either side yield like they're supposed to. So all in all, we're not losing any yield. We've less damage, the field's in better shape for our next crop. And then the sprayer wheels driving through have a wee bit of space to drive between the leaves on the potatoes and those 2 drills, not compromising those leaves, damaging them, opening them up and making them susceptible to blight getting in. When you're sealing potatoes, it's very much a slow and steady approach, because we can't afford the booms to move too much, because the movement really affects the evenness of how the water is applied to the soil. When it comes to this job, we're not just trying to target the green weeds that are growing. We are wanting to put a layer of chemical over the soil so that as a new weed wants to come up through the soil, that chemical says no and kills it off. There we are, we're just coming to the end there and we'll see the nozzles all shutting off. There we go. We have a blank run there with no drills. That is where our registered seed stops. We're growing seed on the right hand side for to keep for next year's potatoes, or for planting for next year. And then we're into our next crop here, which was our seed from last year. And the last pass of this first field, spraying along nicely. Sprayer automatically shuts off when it gets to the end. So hit the home button, field complete. Sprayed the chemical Synchrox, supplied at 500 litres to the hectare. I've used 1600 litres of water or chemical. Well, for every 500 litres of chemical, I'm only using 500 millilitres of chemical. The rest is water. And in total, the whole solution, I've used 1625 litres and I've done 3.2 hectares. Hit my wee spanner. I close that event. Yes, that creates my operating report, and I have a field report for this morning telling me that I've sprayed this field, what I've done, what the weather conditions were, and how it went. So yeah, operator is me, it's a SAM sprayer. I'm now going to select a new event for the next field. Keeping the spray down, and it's not blowing too bad, but it doesn't take a hell of a lot for it to hit one side of the drill, blow slightly and not hit the other. So it's not that it's going to blow away into extreme wind conditions, it's just the fact that it may drift ever so slightly and just be enough that we get a better protection on one side of the ridge and less on the other. bits and pieces, because I would say one side of the ridge will not be just as 100% sealed as the other, but we'll have to get something done. So we'll see how it goes. Spuds are growing, they're just about ready to come up. The queens are all well up and advanced, so can't complain from that point of view. But the weather is really cold and windy, so it's slowing the growth. What was happening under the ground is fine. Once they come up now and out through the ground, there's nothing to encourage them to grow. It's only 3 or 4 degrees at night, and a sharp cold breeze during the day, so yeah, do a bit of warm rain, as the guy says. But thanks for watching, catch you in the next one.